Wakizo district in Uganda's central region, and he's the standard bearer of the main opposition political party within Uganda. And so Bobby Wine will be our guest today, like we've announced, the flyers, all the things and all of that. And because of the importance, I'm not sure we're going to reach out to all of our correspondents because of time and all of that. We have a minute to join Bobby Wine. He's the standard bearer of the National Unity Platform within Uganda, a very young, promising person that wants to see things happen in the interest of the people in Uganda. So we're going to join him. For those of you listening, you're listening to Voice of Liberia. We cover the entire country. Those of you out of Liberia, you're watching us. We would like to say thank you for joining us. Let us do this, and it is just a minute to the time. It is a minute to 4 in Liberia, and a minute it should be to 7 within Uganda. And let me just read for you, because we follow all of the activities that Bobby Wine goes through within Uganda. A recent post from his official page, and I'm going to read this to you. It reads, "Once again, I have been effectively placed under unexplained house arrest. As we were addressing the press, our offices were surrounded by police and military officers. On my way out of the office, I was immediately arrested and driven home only to be placed under house arrest. An hour ago, I attempted to leave, and the armed men told me they have orders not to allow me to leave my home." And he included the current president, General Muzamvini. Will soon understand that repression only brings more resistance. The more they try to break us, the more determined we become. Uganda is our country, not his private property. And I'm going to leave my new mean studios now to join Bobby Wine from Uganda as he joins us to have a 2-hour discussion on a wide range of issues, looking at governance from Uganda, looking at the political activities, looking at free speech, looking at all of the activities from Uganda where he wants to lead the people, a very young man. Let me say good afternoon from Liberia, Bobby Wine, and good evening to you in Uganda.
Good evening. I wonder if you hear me very clearly. I'm trying to connect so you can see my image. I'm not succeeding yet. I would really love to be seeing you eye to eye.
And we ourselves are wishing for that. You are very clear in Liberia and other parts of the world that people follow us. You are very, very clear.
Do you see my image?
I'm yet to see the image, only your profile I'm getting, but we are using, I don't know why I said we are not getting you on, because we need you to have your image, because we need the people that are viewing us from across the world to also see you as you discuss the issues with us. You need to look at your end.
I beg your pardon. I beg a few minutes so I can try to fix it.
Okay, so we are waiting on you. We'll give you a few minutes so you can do that adjustment. Okay, for those of you listening, you listen to that. You listen to Bobby Wine. He joins us from Uganda. We're going to have a very fruitful discussion. We're going to look at what government or governments are doing to other opposition political parties in other countries. Now, as he speaks to us from Uganda, he's being placed under a house arrest. So he's going to be speaking to us from the house arrest as he tells us what he wants to tell us, right? For those of you watching, we would like to say kudos and thank you. Continue to watch as Bobby connects and do all he's supposed to do to have him live on the show. We have a very tight team here today, and so it's a thing. You have everyone working out and making these things, and I'm trying to lay my hands on. This is a song of Bobby Wine. I'm trying to lay my hands on this song. I want to get the song name. This is a song I want to get for you so you can listen. He's been a musician as well, right? He made a lot of songs, and today he's entered politics, and so okay, folks, I'm told I'm receiving messages. Trust me, the people are eager to listen. This is what we do right here on Voice of Liberia. But let me just play you one of his interviews as we try to get some songs for you.
Disappeared and they've never been seen again. Those who have been lucky to return have spoken of being subjected to unspeakable torture and brutality. Some of our supporters have been castrated. Others have had their eyes and fingernails plucked out, their limbs broken, and their manhoods shattered. On 18th and 19th of November last year, on Museveni's orders, more than 100 Ugandans were shot and killed in cold blood. After that massacre, he came out chest thumping and congratulated his boys for a job well done. Up to this day, no one has been held accountable for these crimes against humanity. Just like the cold-blooded murders of Yasin Kauma, Rita Nabukenya, Dani Cheyune, Hakim Sekamwa, Hassan Waliendo, Frank Senteza, and many others, the regime silenced their grieving families, and that was it. The presidential campaign was turned into an exhibition of impunity. I survived 3 attempts at my life, and my comrades survived even many more. Some of our friends did not make it alive. Many comrades and journalists sustained permanent injuries. 2 weeks to the date of voting, my entire campaign team was arrested and subjected to all manner of torture and humiliation before they were thrown into a prison where they are languishing up to the present day. Museveni switched off the internet and ordered media houses not to report or even talk about the results from the polling stations as they came in. International election observers had already been shut out. Foreign journalists were targeted and some of them were deported for the fear that they would expose the state-inspired violence and election fraud that was happening at that time. With this state of affairs, Museveni, aided by the Electoral Commission and the military, rigged the election like never before in the history of Uganda. In many districts of northern and western Uganda, citizens went to vote at 9 in the morning, but were told that the voting for the president had already ended. They could only vote for MPs and go back home. It has wondered how ballot boxes were full of ballot papers even before the voting started. So many of our polling agents and supervisors had already been rounded up and taken to prison. In several districts, such as Kwania, Isinjiro, Rukunjiri, Kabong, and many others, soldiers traveling in military trucks went from polling station to polling station, taking all available presidential ballot papers in favor of Museveni. Those who dared to question the criminality were quickly silenced by bullets and batons. But even with this ballot stuffing, we were still leading Museveni with a clear margin. Then, Mr. Byabakama, whether on gunpoint or out of collusion, he started reading things which only he can explain where they were coming from. Those who represented us at the National Tally Center spoke of how state operatives filled the entire Tally Center, and it is thought that these are the people who have been Mr. Byabakama with the results that he was reading, completely not reflecting what had come from the polling stations. Then on the 16th of January, by 4 p.m., Mr. Byabakama completed the fraud and announced Museveni as the winner. Once again, General Museveni and his small clique of gunmen imposed themselves on the people of Uganda. Up to now, the Electoral Commission is still grappling with forged results. A look at Byabakama's declared results will shock you. These people, they did not apply any smart thinking in their rigging. It was crude. At hundreds of polling stations, the dead resurrected and voted. Byabakama claims that 100% registered voters turned up and voted. Some presiding officers were not intelligent in their overzealousness. The number of those who voted was actually more than the number of the registered voters by far. Knowing the kind of election fraud that he had just committed, Museveni quickly placed me under house arrest as hundreds of soldiers.
Okay. We're gonna hold on that. We're gonna go. Let me just tell you. As we speak to BOBI Wine from Uganda, he's on a house arrest, and his line has been tapped on. There are a lot of things happening to him. He's managing, doing everything just to have this interview, so we need to bear with him. He wants to be live on the television. He wants to allow people to see his face as he speaks from Uganda, but because of what he's going through, he's currently on a house arrest. He cannot do that, so we cannot do anything about it. Just to say, BOBI Wine, let me use this opportunity on behalf of Voice of Liberia, in Liberia, across the country, and also other areas in the world, say humble to have you, and say thank you to accept our invite, be here today on this show with all what you are going through. Let me say hello to you again, BOBI Wine.
Hello, how are you, my brother out there? I'm very glad to be here. I'm making an effort to make sure that I bypass the jammers and ensure that the people of Liberia and the world over can be able to see me. Can you see me right now?
No, I'm only seeing the messages you are sending, but I'm not seeing you. We are doing everything. Our technicians, they are also doing what they should do to get you on. Apparently, it is from your side they are trying to do all what they are doing.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I want to use the opportunity to still communicate nevertheless. So while I'm making an effort to get my picture on screen, could kindly proceed with the conversation.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, BOBI. There has been a lot of issues. For those of you just joining us, we have BOBI Wine. That's the popular name he has, and he's the main opposition political leader within Uganda. BOBI Wine is a Ugandan politician, a celebrated singer, actor, and a businessman. Aside from he's serving in that positions, he's also a member of the parliament for Kadondo County East constituency within Wakizo district in Uganda's central region. He also served as the head of the National Unity Platform within Uganda. Thank you. BOBI Wine is on the live screen as we speak. For those of you watching, we would like to say thank you. BOBI Wine, thank you. I'm seeing your face now. Hello again.
Wow. I'm glad. Thank you very much for having me, and greetings, brothers and sisters in Liberia and all over beautiful Mama Africa. I'm very glad to be here with you this evening.
Okay, thank you. It's so good you live with us now. So we need to go into some of the issues we want to discuss. First of all, of recent you posted that you've been arrested. How is it with you in Uganda today?
Well, it's unfortunate. I would rather be speaking to the world about how beautiful Uganda is and how amazing the people are. But again, the situations don't permit me, because right now, as we speak, I am under house arrest. My house has been surrounded by the military and the police. I was arrested yesterday and driven back home when I was heading to the police who questioned the constant abduction of the people of Uganda. Today, I wrote a letter that my party took to the Commander of Defense Forces in Uganda and the Ministry of Defense, demanding the unconditional release of more than 600 Ugandans, members of my political party, that have been abducted. Many of them have showed up dead. Many, up to 44, who have been released after great pressure, have told of how they've been tortured. Some have had their eyes blacked out, while others have had fingernails blacked out. The men have been castrated, and women have been raped in custody. It's unfortunate, but again, that's the situation under General Museveni. We wrote a letter and made a statement that is going to go to the Chief of Defense Forces. I was brutally arrested from my office and driven by the police to my house, where I am right now. Other than that, Uganda continues to be a beautiful place, and will be better good governance.
Now, Bobby Wine, I want us to be particular about some of the issues we're going to be talking about here today. First of all, let us look at the peace. Do we have a stable peace within Uganda, looking at the way things are happening? Do we have a stable peace within the country?
Well, it depends on the definition of peace. I believe that peace is not absence of war, but presence of justice and equality. Here in Uganda, we cannot boast of peace because it is being disrupted by security, by those who hold guns, by those who have the power. The people of Uganda, besides the challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has ravaged Africa and the world, the challenge of mismanagement, the politicization of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we have a curfew which cannot be explained. There's no relationship between curfew and COVID-19 prevention, because during the day, people are packed in their hundreds of thousands in markets. But in the evenings, people are blocked, especially those that work in the night economy. So we cannot boast of peace when people go to bed hungry. We cannot boast of peace when there's no justice, when people are being picked up from their houses and being incarcerated in unknown places, tortured, and some murdered. So unlike the rest of the world, unlike many parts of Africa, there's no peace to talk of here in Uganda today.
Your president, Museveni, is a retired general and politician who has served as president of Uganda since 1986. He was involved in rebellions that topped Ugandan leaders Andy Army in 1971 to 79 before he captured power in 1986. Now, Bobby Wine, you undertook a very risky endeavor, as someone or some of the opposition figures in your country have described your move to contest for the presidency of your beautiful country. Tell us your experience, and do you still believe that the will of the people did not reflect within the just ended election in your country?
First of all, I agree with you that taking on General Museveni, like all other dictators in the world, is a big, big risk. But again, the bigger risk is not doing anything about it. The bigger risk is keeping quiet in the face of enslavement in Africa in 2021. The bigger risk is our generation, which is sure that we are going to be stuck on this beautiful continent of Africa, not doing anything to guarantee our tomorrow. So while it's a big risk to take on General Museveni, we believe that it is worth it. And indeed, you asked whether or not the will of the people was not reflected in the recently concluded election. I want to assert, like I've said in the past, that Uganda just had the most fraudulent election in the history of the country, and probably in the history of Africa. This is an election where the main opponent, that is myself, John Museveni, was arrested on the day of nomination, where I was not allowed to campaign, where I had to campaign putting on a bulletproof jacket and a ballistic helmet, where I survived assassination 3 times, gunshots fired at my car, where more than 150 young men and women were murdered by cold blood, by men and women in uniform, police uniform and military uniform, where General Museveni was the competitor, the commander-in-chief of armed forces, the sitting president, the chairman, National Security Council, but at the same time, the candidate, where the Electoral Commission did not have control whatsoever, where the election was taken over by the police and the military, but most particularly taken over by the Special Forces Command, which is headed by General Museveni's son, who is also gifted with the rank of Major General, Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, son of General Museveni. So it is rather a mockery to democracy to call that a free and fair election. Not only did we face a lot of brutality and lawlessness during the campaign, but on the eve of the election, the internet was completely switched off. As soon as I cast my ballot, I was placed under immediate house arrest by the police and military, where international observers were blocked from accessing the country, where international media was blocked and many international journalists were deported from the country, where nobody was allowed to broadcast, local media was not allowed to broadcast about the election, where we held an election, a result was read, the winner was announced before the votes were counted. Now, that is the election that we just had in Uganda. However, I told the people of Uganda right from the start, before we went into this election, that we were going into this election as a rallying point, as another rallying point, because this is not the first election the General Museveni has rigged, although it is the rigged election. So that being the way it is, we are aware that for a long time the people of Uganda were not connected to how they governed. But this time, the young people who are the majority, Uganda happens to be the youngest country in Africa, where more than 80% of the population is younger than me, and yet I'm not an old man myself. So we envision this as a revolution, both mental revolution, but political revolution too.
Let us move to this, and I sat down and listened to you, how you explain about what exactly you've gone through, and all of that. One would think and understand what you are going through. What exactly motivated you to contest for the highest seat in your country?
Man, that's a tough question. First of all, I've said it before that I don't look at myself as a politician. I am a musician. I have grown up from the ghetto. I'm a civil activist, and I'm just one of the many young people in Uganda who want better. But for a long time, we've looked for the lawyers, for the doctors, for the intellectuals to represent us. We live in a country where the population has been let down so much by the elite, by the intellectuals of this world, who have decided to become complacent and be comfortable with what they have. One of my fellow leaders calls them the 1, 2, 3, 4 syndrome. One is one wife, 2 children, 3-bedroom house, and 4-wheel drive car. Once the majority of the elite of Uganda have that, they are complacent and they are comfortable with the status quo. But Uganda is a country where more than 80% of the young people are unemployed, where more than 80% of the people are living below the poverty line. But again, Uganda is a super rich country. Uganda is a source of the great river Nile. Uganda is rich in tourism. It's rich in human source. We can transform it. We looked around and there was nobody to do that for us. We had to do it ourselves. I was for a long time through my music calling upon the people of Uganda, especially the young people, to embrace the opportunities that we have and transform our country. So since there was nobody to do it, and I was also personally feeling oppressed, and I was positioned in a state where people were listening to me, I said, okay, I have so many followers, but where do I lead them to? I decided to lead them to liberation, to lead them to self-realization, especially looking at all the countries that have transformed themselves. For example, let's look at Liberia. Liberia is being led by a football hero, by a talent person, by a ghetto person. And we think that that alone is an inspiration, but we should continue being inspirations to the rest of Africa and remind the common people that they too actually get involved and represent people. And that is one of the many reasons why I took on the mantle to lead this, our country, out of where it is to where I believe it should and can reach.
Bobby Wine, if you were to look at the outcome, do you have any regret for contesting the election?
I actually don't regret, and if I had to do it again, I would do it exactly the same way. Only that this time I would be ready for so much unexpected. For example, I would know that I am dealing with a dictator who has no single piece of shame that is left. Therefore, we would be more alert and we would inform the world much more quicker. But I don't regret running, because even if we won the election, by the way, I won the election with 54.19%, although the Electoral Commission announced something different in favor of General Museveni. But I don't regret, because we also look at this as a win. We know that Uganda will never be the same. We know that the people of Uganda, especially the young people, the common people, the ghetto people, the poor people, I know they will never look at themselves the same again. I know that there's a certain level of patriotism that has been evoked and it will not stop. We know that people are going to continue, especially common people, young people who are doubting themselves. I know that they are going to become even more involved in the governing of their country. They are going to own it more. Now they know that this is their country, and they know that the politicians do everything in trust for the people. They know the true owners of the country. They know they must channel, they must rule their destiny. So with all the challenges that we've got, we don't regret. We believe that where we are is another huge milestone and a big step towards full liberation of our country.
Following the election, you ran to the court. What has happened? We understand you left the court. Don't you think you should have waited for the court to decide the outcome of the case?
Well, it is true. I went to the court after the fraudulent election, after all that I've been to you, what happened during the election, and having covered every single day of the campaign, every single day of brutality, every single murder recorded and profiled, every single irregularity that was carried out mainly by the security forces, the military and the police. We noted everything, we recorded it, and knew that even if General Museveni is the one that appoints all the justices of the Supreme Court, and even if it has been historically noted that General Museveni, like various dictators in the past, here in Uganda and many other places, have actually used the courts of law to legitimize their illegitimate holding on power. We went to the court to get two things: to either get justice and have the fraudulent election nullified, or to expose the injustice of the judicial system to the people. And even before we were able to expose that, the Supreme Court did the expected. The Chief Justice of Uganda rejected our evidence, and yet the evidence has been accepted in the recent, presidential election petitions here in Uganda. There was clear bias by the Chief Justice, who went ahead to meet General Museveni 3 times publicly and probably many times privately. Now here is a Chief Justice who is supposed to be an arbiter in a legal suit, but he is meeting and discussing with the defendant. And indeed, the Chief Justice made some requests before General Museveni. General Museveni promised to meet the Chief Justice at another time, which is believed to have happened because it ran in the news that one of the police officers that exposed one of those meetings was arrested. So with the clear biases and the clear lack of independence of the courts of law, we decided to withdraw from the courts of law. I mean, it is evidence that is based on to determine a case by the Supreme Court. But here is the Supreme Court rejecting our evidence. For example, the Electoral Commission claimed that in more than 400 polling stations, there was a 100% voter turnout, including in my home area where, in the village where I grew up from, where I have relatives that missed the voting because they were being hunted by the military, because some of them were in prison. But the Electoral Commission comes out and said, everybody, 100%, they all voted, and they all voted for General Museveni, which is impossible. In hundreds of polling stations, the Electoral Commission claimed that even the dead people resurrected and voted. And here we are with death certificates of hundreds of people that had passed away a year or more longer before the election, but the Electoral Commission was claiming that they voted. All this evidence, we presented it to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court, using mere technicalities, rejected our evidence. The Supreme Court, unlike the previous presidential election petitions, where the submissions have taken over a week, the Supreme Court gave us only 30 minutes to submit. That and more made us withdraw from the Supreme Court, which is clearly biased and in the firm control of General Museveni. And we decided to take the matter to what we call the Court of the People.
As you said, some of your supporters were either flogged, jailed, or in some instance killed, and their undercurrents, as we were made to believe, was to support your quest to become president of Uganda. What are you doing as the head of all the people that we've talked about so that they can receive justice within Uganda?
For clarity, saying that our supporters were flogged and beaten is an understatement. The military has systematically gone rounding up our supporters and our leaders from across the country, abducting them, making them go missing for weeks and sometimes months. Like I said, some have showed up dead, while others have showed up with severe marks of torture, their eyes, teeth, and fingernails removed, while women have reported being raped in detention. We don't believe in violence, and we try to ensure that we do everything within the law and within the confines of morality. Therefore, we petitioned Parliament, where I still sit as an outgoing member of Parliament. I petitioned Parliament. Today we petitioned the Chief of Defense Forces. However, we also petitioned court. However, I must be quick to mention that under a dictatorship, all institutions of state have been subjugated and they are under the firm control of General Museveni. Therefore, we've announced some 4 days ago, we announced peaceful demonstrations to demand for the return of our people. Our demand is simple. We want an audit into the recently concluded election. We want the military to return all the abducted people, and for those that have been murdered, we want their bodies so that we can accord them a decent burial. We want the military to stop trying civilians in a military court. We have so many of our supporters and fellow leaders that were arrested and are being tried in a military court. I'll give an example of my comrade Nubian Lee, my musical singing partner. Another example is my musical producer, called producer Dan Magic, and very many other leaders and friends that were arrested along with me on the campaign trail. The world should know that all of my campaign team was rounded up and arrested by the military, tortured gravely, detained in the military barracks before they were taken to a military court to be charged. They were arrested on the 30th of December 2020, and they've been in prison since then. But they were recently charged with the crime they allegedly committed on the 3rd of January 2021, when they are in prison, because they are still in prison. Now that's disturbing. What we are doing about it is to continue push within legal means, push within the judicial system, even when we know that we can't guarantee justice being served there. We've also called upon the people of Uganda to evoke Article 3 of the Constitution and to also evoke Article 29 of the Constitution. Article 3 is to the effect, that is to the extent that the people of Uganda should, and in fact must, rise to the occasion and defend the Constitution whenever it is being overthrown. It is clear that the Ugandan Constitution has been overthrown by General Museveni because there is no rule of law whatsoever. And also Article 29 of our Constitution states that it is within the law to protest for a right, and a person that peacefully protests and demonstrates when they feel an injustice commits no offense. So we have gone to that level of our struggle.
Now, when you take to the social media, most especially news coming from Uganda, it is all about BOBI Wine and the current government or the current president of Uganda, and you have these things continue to happen within the country. BOBI, are you the only one complaining, or what the majority of Ugandans are saying about this situation? BOBI, are you listening? I'm seeing you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my network is being jammed. Like I explained,
yes,
there are so many military trucks parking outside my gate. So I believe my internet is being jammed. But let's push on nevertheless.
Like I said, when you take to the social media, you're definitely going to see all the news coming from Uganda. It is about BOBI Wine and Museveni, or the government and BOBI Wine, and things continue to happen. Either some days they've done something to you wrongly, or you are accusing the government of doing something wrong. I'm asking you, are you the only one complaining? What the majority of Ugandans saying about the situation within Uganda as you speak about some of the ills?
Man, I am not the only one talking about this. And I'm not the first to talk about this. Like I mentioned, I was not into politics. It is only 3 years ago that I took on this role. But Uganda has been ruled on gunpoint for 35 years. For a long time, I was like many other young Ugandans who were comfortable in our uncomfortability, who looked at ourselves as those that can play a different role, not practically. I must say I am seeing the way things the way I see them because my eyes have been opened by those that came before me. We speak this because we stand on those shoulders of those giant freedom fighters that have come before us here in Uganda, because the people of Uganda have been struggling for freedom for a very long time. I'm only humbled that I am currently the voice of resistance to the people of Uganda, but I'm certainly not alone. It is maybe because of my musical popularity or the fact that quite a number of people know me, that people listen to me. But I can guarantee you that what I am saying is only an echo. It's only a repetition of what has been said so many times here in Uganda. There are many political parties that have been formed to resist against General Museveni's military dictatorship. There are many ordinary citizens. There are many other free citizens that have come up to resist General Museveni's rule of God and terror. However, I must say that I'm here to play my part, to give my contribution, because this has not started with me and certainly not ending with me. Although I feel very strongly that this, our generation, is a generation to complete the journey of taking us from dictatorship to democracy.
Uganda is a big country with several opposition leaders. Do you think other opposition leaders and their supporters are doing more to solve the issues within Uganda as compared to you?
Well, I'm really not in position or in the habit of comparing or judging the work of other opposition leaders. And I must really say that this is not about opposition or ruling party. No, Uganda has two sides of people, and that is the oppressed and the oppressor, the haves and the have-nots, the eaters and the eaten. So the majority of the people of Uganda are on the oppressed side. We are being ruled over by a small clique of unpopular people, General Museveni and his relatives and his friends and family and cohorts. So it is not just about opposition and ruling party. However, I must say many opposition groupings, parties, and pressure groups have done quite a tremendous job fighting against the Museveni dictatorship, and they continue to do that job. So at this time, we are just making every effort to come together, to put our efforts together, because our aspirations are the same. We are all oppressed the same, and to encourage other people that have not been active to get active in this struggle that we are about to accomplish.
Now, do you think there is a need for opposition unity against the regime?
I'm sorry, please ask it again.
Do you think there is a need for opposition unity against the regime?
Yes, there's unity. There's need for unity, not only for opposition, but all the people of Uganda. For us to get the freedom, it's going to take all opposition, all like-minded people. But it's going to take the professionals too. It's going to take the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, all the farmers, the educated, the uneducated. Our call, and personally my call, has been upon Uganda to know that this is not a job for the politicians. We've been taught in the past that politics is too serious business to be left to the politicians. So this is not work for the politicians. And I am an artist. I was a musician, okay? And I took responsibility for this because before a musician, I'm a Ugandan. Before you are a politician, you are a Ugandan, you're a citizen. Before you're a doctor, you're a citizen. So it is important to take this on as citizens, not as politicians.
Wow, it's something you said very. You are a member of the parliament, and I heard you talked about how you people went to present some petition to the parliament. Do the parliament have a role to play within this entire thing, or what the parliament has been able to do? Because you are a member, looking at all the things that continue to happen within your country, you've complained about things happening wrongly. What parliament of your country, which you are a member of, has been able to do about this issue?
Well, thank you very much. I am a member of parliament, and I've been member of parliament for 3 years. Although the term is supposed to be 5 years, I came into parliament through a by-election when the member of parliament for my constituency, for where I live, for my neighborhood, my hood, my ghetto, when the member of parliament for my area lost his seat, I thought that it is time to take the ghetto to parliament. Like I said, if the parliament couldn't come to the ghetto had to come to the parliament. And indeed, reaching our parliament, it was further realization that our parliament, like all parliaments under dictatorships, they are always reduced to being mere rubber stamps of the regime, where most of what is passed by parliament is actually agreed about and resolved in the ruling party's caucus. So the parliament is reduced to rubber stamp. And to exemplify this, in 2017, the parliament of Uganda was raided by the military, and a law was passed by force on gunpoint to allow General Museveni run for president for life. It has changed the constitution at the will of the president. But again, many resolutions have been passed by our parliament, but undermined and disrespected by the president and the military. For example, I am a musician, but my music was abolished and all my concerts were abolished, even when I'm a sitting member of parliament, and I raised that in parliament, and indeed it was debated and resolved in parliament that the military should stop infringing on my rights. But guess what? The military did not respect that, and the parliament has nothing to say. And indeed, I sit on the Human Rights Committee of Parliament, but the same Human Rights Committee has been disrespected numerous times, where people of Uganda are being arrested by the military and kept in torture chambers, which are called safe houses here in Uganda. The Human Rights Committee of Parliament cannot go on, even when it is resolved and ordered by Parliament. It is not respected. So our Parliament, like all other important institutions of state, have been taken over by General Museveni himself. And that is why it was upon us, and we agreed that for us to change Uganda, we have to remove General Museveni and therefore re-empower the three arms of state, the judiciary and the parliament, because all power seems to be concentrated in the executive, which General Museveni oversees.
In Liberia, for example, the legislature or parliament has power to impeach a certain president for a cause of the justices of the Supreme Court. Do you have similar powers in Uganda? If yes, why the parliament is not exercising its oversized powers with all the things you said happening in Uganda? Okay, so we're experiencing something. So you need to accept this interview today. As we speak to BOBI Wine is under house arrest, and all his rights being infringed upon, and so we will sometimes some things, because as soon as maybe the notice is on, they're going to go in to have some interference and all that. I'm seeing, and it is going through, but I think he's in docked, and we will stay having back. Trust me, like yesterday when BOBI Wine was arrested, and when a lot of persons were saying, "Oh, BOBI Wine," and I said to people, if even BOBI Wine is in the jail, we will interview him, and so he's currently under house arrest. So we will reconnect. So having back right here on the show. So let me play you this, and we're right back here on the show. This is a song from BOBI Wine. For those of you listening, we're having a 2 hours discussion right here on the show.
This beautiful nation will again experience the oppression one by another. Bear the indignity of being the scum of the world. Yaga, 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 yaga.
Okay, that's good. Bobby, are you listening for your questions? Are you listening to your song? We're playing this screaming. I want you to well and tell me the meaning of this song. And I'm playing a song. I'm seeing your face, Bobby, as if you want to share tears. What's the song? You look a bit sorrowful about when you listen to the song.
The actually is translated that when the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown in the new Uganda.
Mm.
Yeah, and our struggle is finally over. We shall wear the crown of freedom, the crown of rule of law. We shall wear the crown of justice. All of us, the crown of true peace and true equality.
Now, see, you're wearing white and that of in the video of this song. Let me play this song again, and I'm getting messages by Bobby. Let me be sincere with you. You have the entire country, and you have people out of the country, across the world. If you are seeing our system as to those the people following us, you will get to know how people are being interested in this interview. And some messages coming in that this song is to play, and I'm saying, let me play this song again. And I'm getting myself, I'm not hearing the song, I'm not hearing things you are saying, but getting feelings in myself that there are things you are saying in song. You need a freedom. You need a lot of things in Uganda.
I should translate it. I should do an English version.
You need to do that so we can have it.
I'll make an effort.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on now. When I asked you about the issue, I said in Liberia, for example, legislature or the parliament has the power to impeach a certain president for a cause of the justices of Supreme Court. Do you have similar powers in Uganda? If yes, why is the parliament not exercising its oversight power as to address some of the problems in your beloved country?
Thank you very much. Do we have similar laws? Yes. Do we have a very good constitution? Yes. Does our constitution provide for the powers of the legislature and is respected? Yes. Does our constitution provide for the judiciary to rule and to be independent? Yes. Is it what exactly is happening? No. Is the law being respected? No. Does the law function? No. Why is it not the case? It's because this is called gun rule, where the laws are there, but they are not respected. The power does not lie in the parliament or in the judiciary. The power does not lie in the law. The power lies in the hands of those that hold the guns. Because just a few days ago, the spokesperson of the private army of General Museveni, which is controlled by his son, which is led by his son, the spokesperson of that army came out and told the population, told the nation that their army does not have to follow any law when they are arresting or abducting or torturing people. So we have very good laws. We have one of the best constitutions in the world, in the continent, even though it has been updated a couple of times. But it's a good constitution. We have very good laws that provide for the rule of law, that provide for human rights, but they're not respected. Like I said, the parliamentary resolutions are not respected. And it's on record that the courts of Uganda have actually ruled and not been respected in the past. They have freed people that disagree with General Museveni. But on the doorstep of the High Court, the same people have been rearrested by the military. Many times people are freed by the courts of law, but they are rearrested. And the army generals have questioned the judges. So while we have good laws, they are not respected because there's no rule of law.
Do you have a dominant opposition in the parliament?
Let me get you clear.
Do you have a dominant opposition within the parliament of Uganda?
Well, do you mean to say is the opposition the dominant, the majority?
Exactly. So are they more than the ruling establishment?
Certainly no. We just had an election. Of course, if it was free and fair, we would have many more opposition members of parliament in the parliament. However, the election that we had on January 14th, majority of the constituencies here in Uganda, especially in the rural areas, some constituencies did not actually vote. They were only selected by General Museveni. And many instances, the members of parliament that were elected were not actually announced. Only regime, leaning candidates were announced as winners. I was talking to one of my friends that I will not mention, but is a high-ranking person in the military, and said that the opposition members of parliament won, but they did not know how to be announced. So you can imagine the impunity. So therefore, we don't have the opposition majority, especially as per the election that just ended.
Bobby Wine, do you think the international community and leaders in Africa are doing more to stop the further killings or harassment in your country? Looking at these things, because sometimes you have African leaders saying some of these things, and the international community, they sometimes intervene to get some of these things to stop. Do you think they are doing such?
In Africa, I've seen regional bodies coming in to mitigate on chaos or looming chaos on bloodbaths or looming bloodbaths. It's unfortunate that the regional bodies, in my view, have not done enough to stop the killings and the state-inspired violence and abductions in Uganda today. We've not had from the East African community, and neither have we had from the African Union. And yet, we believe that we must look out for each other as Africans. The international community itself has not done enough. Of course, we appreciate the strongly worded statements, but General Museveni has had such statements in the past. It is action that we expect to be taken. For example, the African Union should at least issue a statement and follow it up with action. Otherwise, the regional bodies continue to be viewed by the oppressed people like, presidential clubs where African dictators are allowed to come and interact and rub shoulders with known democrats. That is to the detriment of the people of Uganda, and we strongly believe that the international community, the African Union, the East African community, and all regional bodies can raise their voices to the same.
International organizations and institutions, they usually follow and respect laws of various countries in the world. What particularly or exactly do you think the international community can do so that they can pressure the government within your country to do the right things that the people want to see?
We have values that bring us together. For example, as the East African community, as the African Union, as the as the Commonwealth, as the United Nations, we have values that bring us together. Values like respect for the rule of law, like respect for democracy, like respect for human rights, and we expect our sister countries in these bodies where we share in these corporations to hold each other to account, to call out leaders when they are abusing the rule of law or the rights of their citizens. It's unfortunate that we don't see the same. For example, I would really expect the African Union to call out General Museveni on the massacre that he just carried out in November, about 3 months ago, to call him out on the abuse of democracy, on the blockages of the rights of the people. We would expect the Commonwealth to hold General Museveni to account, even African Union to hold him to account, we would expect the United Nations to hold General Museveni to account, and the international community, of course, to use the tools that they've used on renowned dictators. I know that countries like Liberia have gone through the same in the past. But again, the dictators that have oppressed people, killed people, have been held to account in one way or another. And these similar courts, these similar countries should apply the same standards. I have personally petitioned the International Criminal Court and asked the International Criminal Court to investigate General Museveni for the crimes against humanity. That was even before the escalation of the
Okay, we will
enforced disappearances of the people of Uganda, and just reason to call out on the International Criminal Court to intervene. So there's so much that can be done. We have called for targeted sanctions against human rights abusers. We must also appreciate that the United States evoked the Global Magnitsky against General Museveni's security commanders that have gone ahead to abuse the rights of the people. We appreciate that the European Union has called out General Museveni. UN Human Rights Watch has called out on General Museveni. But like we said, we would love to see more of action than word.
Were you to give us a number of how many of the members they've been killed allegedly by the president of Uganda? Because you've alleged that most of your members, some of them, they've been flogged and all of that. Were you to give us a number, how many persons they've been killed allegedly by your president in Uganda?
Thank you. Just today, about 3 hours ago, I addressed a press conference right before my arrest. And by 3 hours ago, there were more than 584 supporters and members of our party that are missing. But again, by the time I reached here, I got report that 4 others have been abducted and have gone missing. These people are publicly arrested, publicly abducted by people in plain clothes, but having guns, having rifle, AK-47s. Others are in full military uniform, and they are taken away. So it is approximately 600 of our party members and supporters that have gone missing.
Now, I follow your activities closely. 29 minutes ago, this is a post on your official page where you said, I won't read everything you said, the search is stay on for comrade Mubiru James, NUP's LC5 councillor-elect for Lumbaga North part in your country. Have you been able to find him and the others that are involved as well? What did he do before he got arrested or maybe taken away?
Well, James Mubiru is a newly elected councillor. He's a leader in our party. He's a renowned advocate for human rights. He is a lawyer, and he's newly elected to be a councillor. However, he went missing. He was abducted from Kasubi by soldiers, SFC soldiers, Special Forces Command soldiers. This is a unit of the military that is headed by the president's son, by General Museveni's son. Now, they abducted him and he went missing. But he's one of the lucky few that are known. Otherwise, very many other people keep going missing.
Under national, regional, and international laws, Uganda is obligated to represent or respect the right to freedom of speech, expression, and assembly of all persons. Article 29 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, guarantees protection of these individuals' rights, which include freedom of the press, media practitioners, civil society organizations, CSOs, and all political groupings within the country. Now, if the Constitution is saying one thing and the government is doing another, what other measures do you think will pressure the government to do the right thing within your country?
Thank you very much. I am very glad that you quoted our constitution. But again, you mentioned freedom of media. I will inform you that even when we petitioned the United Nations Human Rights Office here in Uganda, we were raided at the United Nations Human Rights Office, and the journalists were beaten. Some had sustained broken limbs, while others stayed in hospital for days. That happened at the United Nations Human Rights Office, as if General Museveni was trying to send a message that he can do anything, anytime, and he will not be held accountable. Now your question is, what do we do when the law says one thing and those in power are doing the other? We have pledged to follow the law to the letter. We have gone to court and the courts have let us know. But again, like you mentioned, Article 29 of our Constitution provides for rights for peaceful demonstrations, and that is the next phase of our struggle. We want to call upon the people of Uganda. We know that General Museveni cannot kill all of us. We know that examples have been shown in the past. I'll give an example of Liberia, where women protested against dictatorship by simply wearing, was it white? I have followed, I've watched a documentary called Pray the Devil Back to Hell, and many other ways. So we have moved to non-violent action, but action that involves all the people, to force these people that hold guns to know that indeed power is supposed to be in the hands of the people. We are moving to non-violent action, but again we call upon the entire Africa and the entire world not to turn their faces away from the people of Uganda, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere on the continent of Africa.
Bobby Wine, you know, when you explain these things, people listen and they try to understand some of the constraints and all of that. You as an individual, you've got to go through on a daily basis. The Western media followed you religiously. What do you think they are taking so long as to come to the aid of the innocent people within Uganda that have been killed, their rights have been infringed upon, things are not happening in that direction? We are experiencing something again. Did you get the question well?
Yeah, kindly repeat.
I'm saying the Western media followed you religiously. What do you think they are taking so long as to come to the aid of innocent citizens within your country? Because other things are happening, the Western media carried, other things are happening within your country, some of the human rights violations and all of that. Why is it you think those that are responsible to make these decisions are taking so long to come to the aid of the citizens within Uganda?
Thank you. First of all, I'll take this opportunity to appreciate the foreign media, not only Western media, because all of international media has supported us. Right now, I am speaking on Voice of Liberia, and I'm humbled to have this opportunity. And the same way I've been able to speak to BBC, BBC African, BBC International, CNN, Al Jazeera, Times News. I really appreciate international media for shining a light on us. It's probably because of international media engagement that I am still alive, because General Museveni, like all dictators, fear one thing: exposure. General Museveni has succeeded for a long time in hoodwinking the international community, and we are only glad that now the world can see the reality of what is happening in Uganda. And probably that was one of my biggest roles, to ensure that I shine a light at every little bit of injustice. Now, why is Western media taking so long to come to our aid, or even the international community? I want to make it clear to the people of Uganda, and indeed the people of East Africa and Africa as a whole, that our liberation is not going to come from any foreigner. Our liberation is going to come from within ourselves. Nobody else is going to save us apart from us. Whatever we get from the international community, we should celebrate it. For example, our ability to amplify our plight to the rest of the world so that we're not suffering in that. We appreciate that. Whenever we get condemnation to the injustices and the wrongs that are being made against the people of land, we appreciate it. So we are not waiting for any foreigner or for any body from the international community to come and save us. We are only asking them to stop funding our oppressor, to stop paying from our mother. When my driver was shot dead, it was an American gun that was used to shoot him dead. But the United States spends almost $1 billion every year training, supporting the military of Uganda. Why that is a good thing, I think there should be preconditions for cooperation. There should be a condition of respect for the rule of law, respect for human rights, respect for the rule of law, respect for democracy in Uganda as a precondition. Otherwise, the international community will continue to be viewed as partners in crime. When people are being extrajudicially killed by a regime, but a regime is funded by renowned democracies, then that is a contradiction. All we ask of the international community is hold our oppressor to account, because much of the operation is being paid by our development partners. Many times in terms of loans that we and our children and our children's children are going to pay. Imagine taking a loan that will be paid by your grandchild, but that loan is to keep you as a slave in your own country. So we don't expect the international community or international media to save us. No, we want to do it ourselves. But we are saying, do not fund our operation, do not be partners in crime, do not sponsor our extrajudicial killings.
Do you remember how many times you were arrested?
Well, I would need a calculator.
So you've been arrested, for example, more than 10 times?
I don't know how many I've been arrested, but all I remember is that I was arrested today, I was arrested yesterday, and I've been arrested so many times. I don't want to put it on myself. You see, many times when I am arrested for fear of reprisal or for uprising or for utter shame, many times because the regime knows that whenever they arrest me, they cannot conclusively prosecute me because they wrongly arrest me. I make sure I walk within the confines of the law. So whenever they arrest me, they just either airlift me in military choppers back to my house, or they drive me in police or military cars back to my house. So it is not about me, but very many Ugandans are arrested with no crimes, and they are being tortured and killed. So while I've been arrested many times, I don't look at my own suffering. I would rather look at the suffering of all of us.
You need to be sincere to those of the people that are listening to you. Whenever you've been arrested, give a picture of what do you experience while in prison. Do people do things to you that are unpleasant, or maybe when you enter the prison and you've been favored by even the people in some of the areas? Bobby, did you get the question well? Did you get the question? Okay, so say we just bear with us. Bobby, did you get the question? I'm seeing you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Would you kindly repeat the question?
So I said, I want you to give us a picture whenever you are arrested, or on the many occasions being arrested, whenever you've been taken to prison. Give us a picture of what really usually happens within that period. Do you go to prison and you've been beaten by the people in prison, or you've been favored by people based on what you do in Uganda?
Thank you very much. I hope I am being now received well. I've been having some issues in my internet network. Yeah, sample when I am arrested by close relatives of General Museveni, I must tell you that many police officers and military officers are actually as oppressed as we are. And few of them that get the opportunity to talk to me, they whisper to me and say, Bobby and all your comrades, fight for us. We are not any better. We are also struggling. So, apart from the brutal arrests that in many times are overseen by the relatives of General Museveni or those within his close circle, other police officers do not oppress me as an individual. And whenever I'm taken to prison, man, and not only me, I'm welcomed like a hero in prison, but not only me, I am informed that all the freedom fighters, all the political prisoners that are taken to prison are celebrated and are treated well. When they reach the official prison, that is why the political prisoners, whenever they are arrested by the military, they are gravely tortured, not in any official center. They are detained in military barracks, in torture chambers, and in unknown dungeons. And so much torture is administered to them. But whenever they go to prisons where they are fellow prisoners, then they are welcomed like heroes. I must also mention that a new prison was built some time ago, and it was opened less than 4 years ago. And that prison is mainly for members of my party. I have information that more than 95% of the inmates of Chitalia prison have been arrested and detained in connection to supporting the People Power Movement and the National Unity Platform.
In Liberia, for example, President George Weah's administration held an election and a referendum in December, and the outcome was a massive defeat to the ruling government. Most of those who contested on the ticket of the Weah party were defeated. His referendum was also rejected, and Weah has encouraged unity amongst Liberians. Has your president ever gone to an election? In the process, he did not win the election in your country?
I'm sorry, if you could kindly repeat the question.
Let me straight to it. I said, in Liberia, for example, President George Weah's administration, the current president of this country, held an election and a referendum in December, and the outcome was a massive defeat to the ruling government. Most of those that contested on the ticket of the current president party was rejected. He recommended a referendum, and that was also rejected by the people. And the current president has been able, of Liberia, has been able to encourage unity amongst Liberians. My question to you, is there any point in time in Uganda where the current president has gone for election, or during the election period, and he lost the election. Accept the results.
First of all, I want to congratulate you, the people of Liberia. I know that Liberia is not where it wants to be, but at least you should celebrate that you are on the road to where you want to be. For a country where a president loses an election and accepts the outcome, that is a road to democracy, that is respect to the will of the people. Has General Museveni ever lost an election? Yes. Has General Museveni ever accepted the will of the people? No. And the most recent one is January 14th, where people massively voted to reject General Museveni and his entire government. Unfortunately, the voice of the people was ignored, and General Museveni ordered the Electoral Commission, which was surrounded by military operatives, to announce him as winner and to announce majority of his party as winner. So it is a dream that we have as the people of Uganda to see that we can subject even the ruling party to the will of the people. That is what we call people power. And it is my hope and prayer that Uganda will get to that level and probably get to real democracy. So I congratulate the people of Liberia, but again, I congratulate President George Weah for his ability to respect the will of the people, for his ability to move Liberia towards even farmer democracy. That is our dream here in Uganda. We dream of a day where the people of Uganda can disagree with the sitting president and the president would respect the will of the people.
Back to the election, you posted a video a few weeks ago, and we saw people believed to be law enforcement officers stuffing ballot boxes in your country. What do you think they are doing to the people of the country? Is it something, because these are things that are being seen, not behind the scene, but they've been seen in videos, being posted on social media, taking the ballot boxes and putting some areas and all of that. What is it happening, and what do you think is being done to the people of Uganda?
Well, it is very unfortunate. That explains why General Museveni switched off the entire internet, ensure that the world does not get to see that. Now that more happened, it's only the very courageous citizens of Uganda that dared to film all those election irregularities. But there was much, much, much more than that that was done by the military. Soldiers on military trucks were going from polling station to polling station, taking all the available presidential ballot papers in favor of General Museveni. It's unfortunate that whoever dared to film that was responded to with bullets or with batons. So it's only a few courageous ones, and sometimes members also of the police and the military, but who love their country more, that dared to film all that we put on social media. But there was much more than that. It's of course unfortunate, very unfortunate, looking at the past chaotic history of Uganda. It would be upon the military to know that a bad election is a precursor to chaos.
Now, let me just give you some reports we get from other African countries, because we have our correspondents across the world. Like for Sierra Leone, you have the government of the country that is after past government officials, like the president, the former president. He's been called in for investigation in terms of corruption. Like in Nigeria, you don't have the cordiality about what the president he goes ahead and do with opposition leaders. Like in Malawi, on today, the citizens are complaining as to
I'm
like in
sorry, if you could repeat again. If you could repeat the question.
Very
sorry, but my network is being jammed.
Okay. because I want to ask you a question, but let me repeat again. Like I said, because we have our correspondents in most of the countries around the world, I'm trying to give example of reports we've received from our correspondents. Like in Sierra Leone, you have the current president, Julius Maada has been able to go after past government officials as to a point of calling them corrupt of what they did in government. Like in Nigeria, you don't have the cordiality with the issue about the opposition and the government. Like in Malawi today, we received a report where oppositions, they've been condemned by the citizens of the rejection of taking the COVID-19. In Liberia, when President Weah took over, he called on the opposition leaders, and many of them rejected the call to have discussion. My question to you, Bobby Wine, have you been invited at any point in time to have a reconciliation meeting with the current president of Uganda? It's like we will still have that question because it's a very good thing. Bobby, you getting us? I'm seeing you, and I'm sure you are seeing us. But you getting us through the audio? Folks, you listening to the program Issues Today, right here on Voice of Liberia, and you need to bear with us. And because Bobby Wine is currently is currently being.
But I will endeavor to communicate.
Did you get the question?
Sure. If you could repeat just the last part.
So I'm asking you, I made references, and I'm asking you now, have you been invited by the president of your country to have a reconciliation meeting?
Thank you. Like I said, we envy some countries that we see as steps ahead of where we are as a nation, Uganda. But again, we get encouraged to know that even countries that have been in a similar situation like we are have gotten ahead. That means we too can get ahead. You rightly mentioned the president, where calling upon people of Liberia to unite, and that's the best thing for Africans to unite. Now, unlike other presidents that have called upon the opposition or people they disagree with for a discussion, unfortunately, while I believe in dialogue, I don't believe in argument. I believe that as African people, we would do better sitting and analyzing the problem of Africa, but most importantly in our context, the problem of Uganda, and then finding a solution. Indeed, our God, General Museveni, who said in 1986 that the problem of Uganda in particular, and Africa in general, are the leaders that overstay in power. Unfortunately, the same leader 35 years later does not want to hear the words that he said when he was my age. Now, whether or not General Museveni has called on us for a conversation, certainly General Museveni has reached out to us. However, what we have said and we continue to say is, to what end? You know, right now I am under illegal house arrest. Right now as we speak. Right now as we speak, my entire campaign team of so many people, including my musical partners, are in prison for no reason. They did not commit any crime whatsoever apart from supporting me in a presidential race. Now they are in prison and they're being charged in a military court. Right now as we speak, the military is handpicking all our supporters, all our renowned supporters and leaders, and detaining them and torturing them. All this is being overseen by a man called General Yoweri Museveni. Now, is the same person that is suggesting talks. It's only three people that negotiate. It's only three people that discuss. You cannot keep your boot on my neck and then you claim that you want us to talk. So it is not merely talking, but it must be to an end. To what end? What are we discussing? Are we discussing freedom? Are we discussing rule of law? I mean, Uganda has laws, and those laws are clear. They should be respected. General Museveni recently came out and said we could discuss so that he could have our colleagues and our comrades freed from prison. We have the law. If they are innocent, why use them as a bargaining chip? For General Museveni, it has not been a discussion of whether or not we should have the rule of law. It has been about co-optation, which you don't believe in. We do not intend to work for General Museveni. Therefore, you should not look at us as politicians that are looking for a token. We don't want tokenism. We want freedom for us to enjoy what is right given to us by God and confirmed by the Constitution. So it's supposed to be a talk. It should be between free people, not us being oppressed and us to a conversation. It should be open and frank, and it should be public.
Okay. We will soon go to the line. Let me take. We will allow you to participate with the people. The people will give you some questions, and they will say what they want to say to you. But who's your role model? That person you've admired, and you try to follow what they've done, and you continue to do it. Who's your role model?
I'm sorry. Please ask the question again.
Who's your role model?
Who's my role model? That's a big question. There are so many people that I look up to that I might fail to mention. And but I must say that I'm inspired by so many people. I was inspired by my mother, a single woman who looked after 10 of us, who lived in the ghetto, but made sure she educates us and tells us to say what is right, no matter the consequence. I was moved by my mother. I need to look at great Africans here in Africa and in the diaspora. Great black people like Malcolm X, like Dr. Martin Luther King, like the great Nelson Mandela. Of course, I'm inspired by the Liberian president, His Excellency George Weah, because he decided to do much more than entertain the people. He encouraged very many of us. Because I look at people like him, I stopped looking at myself as a mere singer. I knew that I could do much more than just singing for the people, but again, use my fame to contribute to the betterment of the people of my country. Of course, I'm inspired a great deal by people that had to pay the ultimate price. Steve Biko, Walter Susulu, those people that live. I'm inspired a great deal by a great Nigerian artist called Fela Anikulapo Kuti. He inspires me a great deal. I'm inspired by so many Africans that stand for what is right, regardless of the consequence.
Have you been to Liberia since your musical, journey? You've been into it. Have you been to Liberia?
No, I've not been to Liberia, and I look forward to visiting Liberia. But I was honored to feature on a song with President George Weah.
Wow. So, okay. And with such a huge political responsibility on your shoulder, you are still making music, a habit that you so dearly love to do all the time. Are you still making music?
I am still writing music. I've not had opportunity to record music because all the studios that I record from have been closed by the government. And my musical producers have all been intimidated, Some have been jailed, like my music producer called Producer Dan Magic is in prison today. His crime is being my music producer. My musical partner, Nubian Lee, who is singing with 90% of my productions, is also in prison. I am under house arrest, and even before I was under house arrest, I was followed everywhere by security. So I still write music, and when I get opportunity to step in studio, the world should expect an album of forbidden music.
Okay. For those of you listening, we have of us Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is the leading opposition figure within Uganda. He's the political leader of the National Unity Platform within Uganda, and he's the talked about on a daily basis. If you follow Bobby Wine, you will get to know exactly what I'm saying. He's, I don't know. But we're going to go to the lines now, Bobby. Those of the people listening to us from across the world, we want to ask you, we want to talk to you. And so we're going to take few of the calls and then we can move ahead. So just so you know, you can get your pen and whatsoever, because the people are going to call and ask some of the questions and they're going to tell you whatsoever. So we're going to go to the lines. The two local lines you want to join us. If you in Liberia, you can join us on 0778 662663. 0778 662663 or 0555 212726. 0555 and they are the two local lines. For those of you in Uganda or other parts of the world who join us on the show, this is the WhatsApp line. You can call us on 0770 060 0770 Now, if you out of the country, you can just put in, but as soon as you do that on WhatsApp, you get it. Or you put the country code, Liberia country code. Please don't call my personal line. Please don't call my personal line, because we can take calls there, because we need to get this where we will get Bobby Wine so he can take the calls. The very first person on the line. You need to call and move from your monitor. Don't. Hello?
Yes, hello. Hi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is Yanti, Christian Yanti, and I joined a conversation from the headquarters of the Veterans Bureau in Avenue today.
Go ahead.
You know, so let me appreciate Mr. Wan for the splendid delivery. Most especially, I am moved by his conversation, most especially when he talked about President Weah have been somebody who inspired him to have taken on the road to muster courage and be in his political life. I think it is something welcome, and that is the reason why we want to say to African leaders around the globe that if people, if you are given the opportunity to lead the people through and jumping their process, so as to ensure that in the president of national leadership, there will be other people who will use you as a hub. But we are following Mussolini, even though we are in Ghana, or the history that to have seen an individual who has political life or everything he saw being arrested or people prioritizing, arresting him, playing him, or taking his political case. I think it's wrong. As leaders, people who focus on showing every of your political activity.
Okay, thank you. Let me take this person on the line here. Hello? Hello, what's your name? You join us somewhere. First of all, be on the line. Let me ask, please, Bobby, you listening to the callers? Are you getting the callers?
Actually, I would request that maybe after a question you repeat for me, because I don't get them so well. Okay. And I would really love to hear everything they're asking, so I can try and answer it as relevant. So if ever you could repeat question for me and I'll answer it, it would do me very well.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, this person on line. Hello, go ahead. You are on the line. Go ahead. Okay, let me go to the United States of America and join this person, Patrick So. Big brother, go ahead. Hello.
How you, Sekou, and are you, Mr. Warren?
I'm good, thank you.
Sekou, I want to say, Bobby he's a great guy. He's a comrade, and I want to openly give him my support. My name is Patrick, by the way, Patrick. So I call you from the U.S. I'm going to openly give my support to Bobby. I'm going to exchange my contacts with you. I will join the fight. We are going to muster the courage on the international scene. I will give you directly, listen to me, Bobby. I'm going to give you directly the contact number for the White House, the email number for the White House. You're going to do a communication to them, requesting them to intervene immediately. I will also give you the contact number for CNN. I want you to speak live on CNN, just as you are relaxed on the talk show. And when you call the American to get involved, to call immediately on him to leave.
Okay.
So thank you. You got my support. I am a revolutionary. I believe in ideological struggles, and I will support you. My name is Patrick. So Sekou will give you my contact. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bobby, you listen to that? Can I repeat it? Bobby? It's like he starts to get, okay, let me take this person. Okay, let me take this person here. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, hello. Your name, you're joining us from where? Out of Liberia?
Yes, I'm out of Liberia, but I'm from Liberia. I'm Princeton B. Bowman Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
a.k.a. Bobby Bowman Jr.
Go ahead.
Bobby Wine is my mentor, and he's the face of our generation. We've been in the struggle.
Where do you call from?
In postings. I call from India, the home of Mahatma Gandhi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we stand with him as a youth of Liberia. We are in the struggle to see the defeat of the dictator. Because if you follow the histories of Uganda, Ugandans have been suffering from the hands of dictator. As such, we the young people of Africa have seen logic, reason.
Okay. Thank you. I will explain everything to you, Bobby. Let me take more. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Robin Cannon. Go ahead.
Let me appreciate you this evening. Also, Honorable Bobby Wine. You see, I want to hear from the Honorable India. For the fact that in Liberia, our democracy, we are talking about freedom of speech. But freedom of speech in Liberia to insult leader, to disrespect leader. Is it the same in Uganda? Because in Liberia, you insult and say anything against president. And somebody will say it's the freedom of speech. Whether it is the same in Uganda, so that the people can also know. Thank you.
Okay, let me go to the international line and take this person here. Hello. Yes, hello. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead. You joining? I'm hearing you. Where are you joining us from?
I'm calling from the U.S., the United States of America.
What is your name?
My name is Matobu.
Natobu.
Matobu.
Okay, go ahead.
M-A-T-O-B-U.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm a Ugandan. Just wanted to congratulate His Excellency Bobby Wine for inspiring Ugandans. He had done really great job. And he's been there for the people of Uganda. He's withstood a lot of suffering and intimidation, harassment to
wish him and pray for him and get him good luck in whatever he does. He's really good job fighting dictatorship in Uganda, saying that liberate our country and restore democracy and fighting for the rule of law and constitutionalism. So I commend him. I wish him good luck in whatever he does.
Thank you very much. Let me take this person on the line here. The lines are bustling. This person, hello.
Thank you. I'm Emmanuel P. from the community. Well, I like to appreciate BOBI. I think the situation in Uganda is absolutely incredible. We are in the 21st century and we believe that governance around the continent should be tolerant and should not respect the will of the people because democracy itself calls for the will of the people. So we just like to encourage BOBI. We like to see in Liberia, but we are in solidarity with them because we are revolutionary. And when you talk about we as Africans should rely on the West to free us. It is we as Africans because if you read the struggle of liberation against the South, it was the beginning of the people that came to club on the leadership of the party, the independent Guinea Bissau. It was a big framework that
Thank you. We have too many persons on the line. Oh, too bad. You need more from one. Yeah, hello. What?
Thanks to Freedom FM, the BBC of Liberia.
This is Voice of Liberia.
I tell the Voice of Liberia, BBC of Liberia, because of who are in the country.
Go ahead.
I appreciate you. I miss you, Bobby. I'm listening to you on BBC, and all of the radio stations. Mr. One, I want to call to encourage you to be very focused. I know one day you never read Ugandans will praise you for your stand in the life. Mr. Bobby One, take control of yourself and be that money approaching the state and the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for participation on the show. Let me take this person here as well. We can take you if you went off the line. I go to the line. Hello.
yes, hello, hi, Sekou.
Yes. What's your name, sir?
Let me congratulate and appreciate the effort of what they want to get shit free. Not that you would we said a lot of also people in the government the mind very strong cases show that the quality behavior from the out of the dictatorship. They are and stand by him to a struggle.
Thank you. This person here. Two more calls, and we'll call it a day because it's like go to 9 o'clock in Uganda now. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Sekou Sherry, and good evening to Punch Manabian. My name is Ibrahim Porete from Mojetu, and I call for the headquarters of the Veterans Bureau on the most of the Avenue to Communist England. Also, who you, my dear, maybe people like what I brought to not be one of the right of the boy one. Bobby one, if I will focus on you, because it's going to fight for the people. Let's say, you know, can you imagine, for example, President John Manuel, I said, he appreciated the president. For continuing embracing peace like Bureau. When you got that, Museveni continued to oppress people. But Bobby one, if you are with you going in the Mediterranean, the outpour could not be with you. And let me give you a brief history. In Zimbabwe, when Ramo Mugabe was over there, the army was put about one day the army moved from behind. The thing happening today, one of what Bobby one do not be there. Because the first who find the interest of the citizen of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me take the last person So we call it a day right here. This person has been calling for a long time now. We'll go back to Bobby Wine. We can take all the calls. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, how you doing? This is Brown Tate from Monrovia.
Brown, go ahead.
Yes, I had a question for Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question because a certain time,
Go to the question.
talk to you. Hello?
Go to the question.
Yeah, okay. My question is, before this election took part, again, Museveni, and I think a week or two to the elections, when he decided to take the children out of Uganda, because he said there was a threat on a family life. So how can he justify with people who are also already, who have a family along with him, and then he has to take the country? Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. This person will constitute last caller. Nothing else we're going to take. Hello.
Hello, a pleasure to you, Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
And for the peace of the people, to get a plamo, and I do live on my people in my country. Let me say about our own people and waiting for the elaboration and simple let me draw a better people to see the regret in Uganda. You see, there's not good and I listen to his following the nation. Just a job for people. It's nothing. And this one was saying because we are all African.
Oh, thank you, my brother. No time. We need to go to Bobby one. The news is up next. Bobby, I should just repeat the questions. Few of the questions.
Sure, miss.
Okay, so Patrick Swa called from the United States. He said he's going to join you in the struggle, though he resides in the United States, and he's going to send the White House email contact and everything, so you can have a direct contact and you can send whatsoever you want to send to them. And Christian from India said they believe in what you do and they admire you and they stay with you and also support everything you do. Ruben Cannon said he want to ask you if people that disagree with the president in Uganda, do they go out and abuse the president publicly and without nothing being done? Mambobu, he's a Ugandan, he resides in the States. He called on you and he said thank you for what you continue to do to help Ugandans to leave from the slavery. And he said he wished that one day you will succeed in your struggle. Emmanuel Gonoti, he also called and said thank you, and they continue to pray with you so that you can succeed. He started to make some reference and all of that. Austin said they also called to encourage you for all that you continue to do. James Abraham said thank you, all the other things, just a similar thing. Abraham Political Martyr said you have been there working, suffering for the people. No matter what the current president do, continue arrest and all of that, one day the army will leave from under his support like they did in other countries. So the last person, they asked you a question. His name is Brown Tatis. He said when the election started in your country, you decided to take your family members out of the country out of the fear that maybe they could be harmed and all of that. What do you think that others did at the same time? Because you as a leader, you're taking your children or family members out of the country. It could make anyone to be afraid to leave the country as well. So there are a few questions. Go ahead. Yes. Bobby, you need to unmute yourself. Go ahead now. Answer the question so we call it a day. Bobby? What's happening? Okay, he's on. Bobby, go ahead. Sorry for clue. Just so you know, you're listening to the show Issues of the Direction Voice of Liberia. My name is Sekou Sharif of a very tight team. Have all of our planners and all of that. Those of the people of the team to make us to be where we are today, and we will continue to say thank you. We will soon end up this thing and have we will soon end the interview so we can have the news is up next. My name is Sekou. Sorry, we just need to do this, but from the end, yes, just put everything so we can call it a day right here. Tomorrow, we're gonna have Chief Zanzan Kawa on the first segment, and we also have So Bobby,
yes, I'm back now. Unfortunately, I'm experiencing some network glitches, but I hope you can hear me now.
I'm hearing you.
I didn't have the opportunity to hear the questions that you were saying, apart from the one of India.
Yes, one of the main ones has to do with Patrick Soa from the United States. He said he's willing to join the fray as to help you in the struggle. One of the things he talked about, he's going to help you with the direct email address of the White House, and also numbers that you can have direct connection so that you can put before them some of the things that are happening. Also, he will give you a direct contact to CNN to also have these kinds of discussions as well. You know, the other people commended you. One of the colleagues from Uganda too, but he resides in the States, Mambotu, he said, yes, you're doing well and everything, just like that. Brian Tata said, when election were coming in Uganda, you decided to take your children out of the country. I don't know how true it is. Why you decided to do it? Because you got other people that believe in you. They could do the same thing, could put fear in them, because looking at you as the leader, you did what you did.
Thank you very much. It is actually true that I had to send my children out of the country for fear, and knowing that already the information we had was that the regime, after we refused any kind of compromise, there was a plan to abduct my children, to have me, to force me into subjugation, to force me into accepting false results. And that is why at that critical time, I decided to take my children out of the country.
Okay. So I think we will do that. But let me just say, what is your message you have for Liberians listening to you, Ugandians, and citizens from across the world that are listening to you? What is the message do you have for them?
My message to the people of Uganda is that hang in there, do what you have to do as a citizen. Everybody has a role to play. This is not only for the politicians, not only for the leaders, but for everybody. We must all stand together. Each one of us must give their contribution. To the people of Liberia, I know that you have been where we are, and also don't give up on your pursuit for a better Liberia. I send my greetings to all the leaders. I will send my greetings to President Ware, and send my greetings to all the artists in Liberia, all the creative and all the talent people, but most importantly, the young people of Liberia and the people of Africa as a whole. More particularly the young people. Africa is the youngest continent, and we must redefine ourselves. Our forebearers suffered a lot. Our grandfathers were sold into slavery, and after slavery, we went through colonialism, and after colonialism, we went through dictatorship, which many of us are going through. So all these phases Africa has gone through, they cannot be in vain. Let us learn from them and move forward, because Africa is a node. Africa is rich, and Africans should not be poor. We have the opportunity to redefine Africa, to redefine our color, to redefine our continent, to write our own story. We should not be a story of HIV/AIDS, or a story of corruption, or a story of dictatorships. We must get involved in the way Africa is being governed and create a new legacy, for Africa. We have the rare opportunity to create our destiny, to set the kind of Africa that we want to go forward in, the Africa that we want to hand over to our children and children's children as a legacy, as something that is worth inheriting. We have everything that we need. We only need to rise to the occasion and make a better Africa. We can do it, and we are going to do it. Of course, I want to salute all the friends and to thank Voice of Liberia for hosting me. This is an opportunity to articulate our issues and to make sure that we will project our struggle for freedom and democracy in Uganda. And we continue to be inspired by all the efforts across Africa. We salute the people that liberated Liberia. We salute the people that liberated Africa, many countries in Africa. And we salute Africans that still stand together, Africa stand as one. Like Kwame Nkrumah said, no one is free until we are all free. And Africa must unite. We are the same, born of the same bond, and apart from the same bond. We as Africans must look for other Africans whenever there's injustice in one part of Africa, there's a threat of injustice in all of Africa.
Thank you very much, Bobby Wine, for joining us on our invite. It is 9 o'clock now in Uganda, per the time difference and all of that. Thank you very much, and we do appreciate your time to talk to us about the issues from your country.
Thank you very much for having me, and God bless you. I look forward to visiting Liberia one day.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is how we're going to end the interview here with Bobby Music. And so that's all the time we need to go. Like I said, Voice of Liberia is currently in touch with the president of Uganda, Mulavini media team. And shortly we will tell you we have the president of Uganda right here on this show. We're going to talk about some of the things they said about him. Yes, that's how we're going to use the radio. Inshallah. The team is tight. My name is Sekou Shari. Do have yourself a God bless day and a good evening from the nation's capital, Monrovia. And trust me, the news is up next.